welcome back. In this segment, you will learn when and how to use a glucometer and how to properly and painlessly measure your blood sugar. Now let's see why it is important to check our blood sugar levels. There are three main reasons why you might want to check your blood sugar. Number 1. Checking your blood sugar can help you better understand how food choices, physical activity, stress, and even illness can affect your blood sugar levels. This can help you make healthier dietary and lifestyle choices. Number 2. Knowing your blood sugar numbers helps you recognize and avoid low and high blood sugar levels. Both of those can be dangerous, so we are going to discuss ways to prevent and manage them. Our bodies love routine and thrive on consistency. This is why it is important to avoid the blood sugar roller coaster. Number 3. Checking your blood sugar regularly helps you and your doctor better understand how well your diabetes medicine is working. This will be useful in finding out whether the medication you are taking is working well or whether you might need to change the dose or the type of the medicine. It is very important to check your blood sugar daily. Keep a record and discuss it with your provider. So when should I check my blood sugar? Since diabetes can affect multiple parts of the body and is experienced differently by different people, your doctor might give you specific times and recommendations on when exactly you need to check your blood sugar. How diabetes affects the body is different for each person and changes over time. When you test your blood sugars may depend on what kind of diabetes medicine you're taking. Some common times you may be asked to check your blood sugar are first thing in the morning or after you wake up. This gives us information about the fasting blood sugar levels since the body has not received food for approximately 8 hours or longer. Another time you want to check your blood sugar is before and after you eat. This is approximately 2 hours after you eat. This gives us information on how certain foods affect sugar levels. Another good time to measure is before and after you're physically active. This shows us the beneficial effects of physical activity on your blood sugar. The sugar in the blood is the fuel for our physical activities. It is important to know when we are running low on fuel or if we need to adjust the food or the exercise. Another time you could measure is before bed. It is important to measure the blood sugar levels before you go to bed because if it is too high or too low, it might be dangerous. High sugar levels can also disrupt sleep patterns. You should always measure when you don't feel well. Your blood sugar might be the reason you're feeling ill. If you're planning a long drive, it is a good idea to check your blood sugar before you embark on the journey. If you are still unsure when to check, we suggest testing 2 times per day, first thing in the morning and 2 hours after a meal, alternating meals. You can alternate your testing times. For example, on Monday, you can test first thing in the morning and then 2 hours after breakfast. On Tuesday, you can test first thing in the morning and then 2 hours after lunch. On Wednesday, you can test first thing in the morning and then 2 hours after dinner, and so on. This is to give you an idea of your overall blood sugar. Sometimes some people will have a spike at certain times of the day. How do we use a glucometer? A glucometer might be provided free of charge from your health insurance, or if that is not an option for you, you can always purchase one from the pharmacy without the need for a prescription. Most glucometers come with a sample kit. For more strips and needles, you will need a refill prescription from your doctor. The process is 5 simple steps. Wash hands, set up lancet, set up meter, prick the finger, here it is important to rotate fingers, and place the blood on the strip. Step 1. First thing you should do is prepare your hands. It is very important to wash your hands to get an accurate reading. For instance, if your hands have lotion that contains honey, or if you have just peeled an orange, and you measure your blood sugar without washing your hands, you might get an unusually high reading. If washing is not an option at the time, use hand sanitizer. Make sure your hands are warm. Massage them for a minute to warm them up and stimulate blood flow in the fingers. Step 2. The next step is preparing the lancet. The lancet is the part that pricks the finger. The needle will go inside the lancet. Some lancets have a drum of multiples, usually up to 6 needles. Others are a single needle lancets, in which case you will have to load the needle before every use. It is very important to remember to use one needle only one time. This will prevent infections and will ensure you will always have a fresh, sharp needle, which makes the process less painful. Sometimes people will reuse needles. Doing this might expose you to infections, and overuse of the same needle makes it dull, causing the penetration of the skin to be more painful. Step 3. Another important thing to remember is adjusting the force with which the lancet will fire. This determines how deep the needle will go. Most lancets will show you numbers from 1 to 6 or 1 to 8. If you have sensitive and delicate skin, you should select a lower number, like a 2 or a 3. If you have very rough skin and calluses on your fingers, you will need to pick a larger number. Step 4. Once your lancet is ready, it is time to set up your meter. All glucose meters work in a similar way. Once the battery is in, you might be prompted to set up the date and time. After you complete that step, you will insert the strip. Some meters will light up as soon as you put in the strip without requiring you to set up the date and time. Make sure the strip is placed correctly, otherwise you will receive an error. Once the strip is ready, most meters will show you a little blinking drop prompting you to measure. Step 5. Step 5 is pricking the finger. It is less painful than most people anticipate. It is important to remember to rotate the fingers to make the process less painful. Remember to massage the finger and warm up the hands for easier blood flow. You should prick around the tip of the finger. Pricking the center will make it more painful since there are more nerves in that area. You want to prick closer to the nail bed. Press on the finger you are about to prick against another finger and prick on the side. After you prick the finger, massage it a little bit to get a nice blood drop. Grab your monitor with the inserted strip and line it up so the strip can suck up your blood drop. Your reading should come up within a few seconds. Write down your number and the date and time you took the blood measure. In most cases, if you're under the care of a physician, they will most likely speak to you about establishing blood sugar goal. They might give you an idea of what number to look for and go over situations in which you might need to call them. First, we have to look at the time when we measured. Fasting and post-meal numbers are vastly different. When should you measure? This could be first thing in the morning, also called fasting blood sugar. You could also measure about 2 hours after meal. Let's help you create a schedule for yourself. It is important that you measure fasting and post-meal blood sugar on different days and at different times of the day to help you obtain a clearer map of your blood sugar numbers. Normal fasting blood sugar should be within 70 to 99 milligrams per deciliter. For adults with prediabetes, fasting blood sugar should be between 101 and 125. For adults that are diagnosed with diabetes, fasting blood glucose must be 126 or higher. Right after eating, your blood sugar will be significantly higher within 170 to 200 for normal, 190 to 230 for prediabetics, and 220 to 300 for diabetics. Next, you would measure 2 hours after eating. Normal glucose 2 hours after a meal should be between 120 and 140. For adults with prediabetes, this number should be between 140 and 200. And for adults diagnosed with diabetes, the blood sugar 2 hours after a meal might be 200 or higher. And lastly, we have a number called A1C. It is a lab test that shows the average level of blood sugar, or glucose, over the previous 3 months. It shows how well you're controlling your diabetes. The higher your A1C level is, the poorer your blood sugar control and the higher your risk for diabetes complications. A person who does not have diabetes should aim for 5.7% or lower. 5.7% to 6.4% is diagnosed as prediabetes, and 6.5% or higher on 2 separate tests indicates diabetes. The recommendation here is to stay under 5.9 to avoid prediabetes. Under 7% is considered good if you're already diabetic. If you are in more elevated or severely elevated group, you should see your primary care provider, and you might want to seriously consider losing weight, incorporating physical exercise, and seeing a nutritionist or a dietitian. Now that you know your numbers, let's see what you can do to manage them at healthy level. Occasionally, when you measure your blood sugar, you might see a number like 250. That is too high. If your blood sugar is higher than recommended, there are some things you can do to help lower it. Try taking a walk or do minor physical activity. It is best not to do anything too intense because if your blood sugar is too high, you might not be feeling well. Make sure you stay well hydrated. Drink lots of water to help flush out the extra sugar. Monitor how you feel and measure again after a few minutes. A rule of thumb is if your blood sugar is higher than 300, call your doctor. Now let's look at the other situation. Maybe you have just taken your blood sugar and the number you see is 50. That is too low. In general, if your blood sugar level is less than 70 milligrams per deciliter, it is considered too low. In this case, you might need to use the rule of 15. Let's see how we can apply the rule of 15. First, consume 15 grams of carbohydrate from sugar, such as 4 ounces of fruit juice or soda, not sugar-free or diet, or 5 lifesavers, or 3 glucose tabs. It is important to remember not to drink more than 4 ounces of soda or juice because if you drink the whole can, your blood sugar will become too high. After you have consumed the 15 grams of carbohydrate, wait about 15 minutes and then retest your blood sugar. If it is 70, then have a meal as normal. If your blood sugar is still less than 70, repeat the 15 grams of carbohydrate and test again. In the following segments, we will explore carbohydrate counting, meal planning, and more techniques to manage the blood sugar at healthy levels. Until then, mahalo and aloha.